Thanks a lot, Stuart. I'm very delighted to be here today to explain about our strategy and our vision for software in the automotive space. I'm also very delighted to be here with my colleague Honggeun, who are going to share great insight about how we are taking our knowledge from TVs and from the rest of our company into the automotive software space. The plan today is to explain first how we are trying to help OEM and automaker lower their barrier to digitalization, how we are trying to help them build more software, a better SDV stack in their car. And then building up to this, we're going to discuss after what LG is probably the best expert today in this field. It's how to reimagine the in-cabin experience. And for this, Honggeun will then take over to explain the lessons we have from TV, especially what we call designing for space, which is a very important philosophy and mindset for us to design software solution. And finally, we will try to tie up all of this into explaining what we call about unlocking this new value through software. So I hope you're going to find the presentation interesting, and I encourage you to bring your question, and we will have some Q&A after this presentation. So looking at how LG today is trying to help OEM to reduce cost and complexity, I will try to explain a little bit the landscape. And I'm fairly sure that a lot of you here are very familiar with the transition that our industry is going through. Today, there's a clear shift from what I call the traditional vehicle development, which was hardware-centric with very monolithic solution, with like really one block solution, and with very low reuse. Reuse happening mostly by reusing the same solution, which traditionally means OEM would source specific ECU for each function, and the tier one in charge of that ECU would then deliver a hardware and software bundle. And at the end of the day, there was not much discussion around the roadmap. There was potentially a roadmap for the product, but not a roadmap for the software. And that software was very tightly coupled with the hardware, making it difficult for a lot of OEM to really control what happened and manage it. And so I would say that this situation is now evolving into what we usually call the SDV, the software-defined vehicle paradigm shift, where the development of new features inside the car is more and more software-centric. So as much as OEM used to think about hardware first, they are now thinking about software first, with more and more centralization of the compute power, with obviously update over the air. And now the role of OEM is more about being that orchestrator of all those different stacks, those different software products, which has resulted absolutely in an increased complexity in terms of OS integration, about all the complexity of various middleware, and to bring this together. And with a big question mark in the industry, because the cost for non-differentiating features, so the cost to bring software for middleware and so on, has quite increased recently, which bring pressure a lot on the software teams of OEM of trying to like focus more on a shorter time to market, obviously meeting cost target and so on, and trying to move that away from the non-differentiating feature, so to reduce the investment in that area and try to bring more value into the experience, into the more customer-facing feature. And so with this in mind, if we move to the next slide, we try in LG to bring our contribution to this complex problem. And so in 2024, we created what we call LG AlphaWare, which are SDV foundation, which I would call it, it's a software menu. It's a very much a la carte offer, which bring various modular building blocks, and that we let OEM kind of cherry pick and choose what they need. So for this, we first of all created LG Baseware. And Baseware is very much a solution for you, for an OEM, to build your own vehicle OS. So Baseware would have a various collection of software ranging from OTA solution, Android platform, radio SDK and such, that you can cherry pick and arrange in your own way to complete a vehicle OS for an OEM. With this, we're also providing LG AlphaWare, which is a collection of software tools, which are usually proven by our own development. This is something we use also in LG, and where we have a strong focus, especially on our CSMS solution, our cybersecurity management system, to help OEM to achieve compliance to the various regulations for UNEC around the world. And then we have three blocks that we will deep dive a little bit later in the presentation, which we call the SDV experience, which are visionware, metaware, and playware. Those are where we try to bring additional value to the end user, to the customer of our customer. And so for this, we have visionware with our driving monitoring, occupant monitoring solution, metaware, which enhance the driving experience, which is our navigation solution using augmented reality and mixed reality. And finally, what we will dive together later in this presentation, LG Playware, which is our entertainment solution to bring premium content into the car. And why we see all those different solutions, I think what is very important is to have the guiding principle that we have here. And this guiding principle for us is really around having flexibility, modularity, and monetization for those solutions. And so that's how we bring those different software. And I think rather than explaining this further, I wanted to give you an example. So we bring two case studies for this. The first case study is a baseware project we have ongoing recently, which is our customer. The main problem they had is that they had an existing hardware platform, but they had not chosen any software on this. And so they had to build a complete Android platform on top of this, which has to be XTS compliant, or which has to be compliant with Google requirement. And they had a very short timing because we jump in the middle. And so our Android platform is pre-certified, and LG work upstream with our partners for this. And so we were able to, using the flexibility of the platform, use and replace some of our component with our customer software component. So we could take their existing software and integrate it in our platform. And so we were able to provide a feature complete solution in less than a year with a very, very minimum effort in terms of resources, because we are able to reuse this existing platform and asset we have in LG, and so speed up and deliver value to that OEM by being much cheaper than if they had to develop it internally, and also much faster than if they had to do it internally. So that's one way, for instance, baseware is contributing to the value of the customer. And then the other case studies that I find very interesting is from our LG AlphaWare. We had an overseas OEM, so a non-Korean OEM operating on the Korean market. And Korea, as many countries and as many places like Europe, has enact security compliance, security rules, regulation. And so the problem of that OEM is that it's very difficult to make sure that they are fully compliant. So by deploying our cybersecurity as a service, we were capable of actually deliver an automatic report from our tools. So we get their BOM of software. We're able to analyze the different components and so on through that tool. And we add, and I think this is the value added we can also bring here, on top of that tool, we have a manual review to ensure compliance, to ensure we are up to date with the latest requirement of that compliance. And we deliver this with a simple yearly subscription model, which simplify a lot also the delivery and the business relationship with that OEM. So those are two examples, I think, of what we mean by flexibility and modularity. Now, what I think is more interesting to discuss is really about how we can also unlock value in terms of new use case, and where software cannot be just here to save costs, reduce costs, but also to give more value to the customer. And I think why for us it's important to do the two sides in LG, reducing cost, accelerating delivery. We are also spending a lot of time to try to understand the in-cabin experience and to build upon our experience and our understanding of this space. And for this, we have this vision that we've shared several times that I want to share with you again here, which is what we call the living space on wheels. And the idea is that car become an emotional space. Car is not just about a tool to bring you from A to B, but it's also a space where you actually live, where you actually have emotion happening. And so this, to understand what we call about the emotional space, we have to understand the emerging use cases of the cabin. And so the reality is that a lot of people are not just driving in their car, they're also just spending time in their car. And so you can think of people, for instance, waiting to pick up skills pick up kids at school, waiting for their kids' activities. Obviously, with EV vehicle, there is also charging relating waiting, but also people just waiting to pick up food, for instance, or waiting for an appointment. And so the thing is, what happened? What do you do in your car when you actually wait? And that's where, for us, really the emotional space emerge. It's not just about the driving experience, it's about the experience you have in that space. And we see, we have conducted studies for that. There's a lot of passive engagement, what you would do also potentially when driving, listening to music, news, and so on. But a lot of people also, wants to have social interaction. While they're in their car, they might spend some time to actually give a phone call, catch up with family, coordinating plane, and so on. And finally, we are seeing more and more people having what we call active engagement in those downtime, which can be playing game on their phone, watching movie, and such. And so what we see from our studies that we've conducted, there is two stats that I find very interesting. The first of thing is 70% of people in that survey describe their vehicle as an old friend. And I think we have all developed a relationship with our car, a connection with the car, especially when you spend time. And I think car is really a tool, a space where it helps you shift your mood. You can really connect in the car, and the more personalization, the lighting, the audio experience, you can enhance that kind of emotional space. And so it's really not a place or not a tool that just function in the same way that people, wants to have a beautiful living room or that they have to build their own, office. It has to make people feel something. And so more and more people see really car as a form of their personal space and want to have that kind of connection and personalization with their car, where software and digitalization in general can play a very important role for this. And so this is where we realize that actually in LG, we have already been successful creating those kind of living space mindset. We have been understanding about how people connect with spaces in their living room, in their kitchen, with our appliance, with our TV. And so 2 years ago, we embarked on that mission to really turn the screens of your car into spaces, to turn the car space into really a living space where you have to imagine the displays, you have to imagine the overall digital experience as a complete media experience. And I think there is an obvious place where we have been very successful at this. It's the TV. And so it's very interesting to understand LG journeys with TV, what we learned that we want to share with you now, and how we use those lessons and those learning from the TV world and bring that to the automotive, understanding that it's obviously a very different space and there is different constraints. We are tier one with over 15 years of experience. So this understanding of both worlds, the TV world, the living space world, and the automotive world, is what is motivating us to create those new software solutions. And so I will let Honggeun, who has a tremendous experience with TV and with our overall planning in LG, to explain those lessons from TV and how we are designing for space. Thank you. Over to you, Honggeun.
Thank you, Valentin. Now it's my turn. I'm Honggeun Chang, team leader of the service planning in LG Vehicle Solution Company. I'm responsible for designing new software services and coming up with a new business model by following the upcoming trend in this software-defined vehicle era. I've experienced most of my career in software services and platform business in diverse industries. And a few years ago, I dived into the vehicle industry with the background of the experience. I'm glad to have this meaningful webinar with you. And my session consists of two parts. The first one is about our lesson from TV to come up with a new living space and business model. And the second one is related to how we can create new value for our customer. In this first part, I would like to explain the efforts that LG has made through its TV business to evolve screens into experiential platforms, as well as the outcomes those efforts have produced. So the first one is about our smart TV journey. In the TV industry, TV manufacturers have consistently invested in enhancing the usability of their native operating system and native applications by promoting built-in TV apps. These efforts has led to a significant increase in convergence service usage, as shown in the graph on the right. While usage of the standalone devices such as Roku, Apple TV, and traditional set-top boxes has gradually declined, and vice versa, the usage of built-in apps on smart TVs has steadily risen. In fact, between 2021 and 2023, native app usage grew up by more than 50%. And this surge in native app engagement has naturally contributed to the rapid expansion of the installed devices basis. For LG, it took 55 months to grow from 50 million to 100 million devices in terms of the install basis. However, reaching 150 million devices took just 27 months, and 220 million devices was achieved in only 24 months. Over the past decade, this growth in user base and native app engagement has fundamentally disrupted the TV area. And 10 years ago, TV was merely just a display devices receiving signals from set-top box and satellite equipment. Today, LG Smart TV not only supports major streaming platform like Netflix and YouTube, but also extend into diverse domains such as music, cloud game, and video calling. LG even launched its own fast trading advertisement directly into the platform. As a result, LG TVs have evolved beyond simple displays, and they now serve a comprehensive media and experience platform within home. Furthermore, as a result, LG's advertising revenue from its TV platform has now reached approximately $1 billion annually. And this part is about designing for space. LG has been actively redefining the concept of the space through its TV platform. And this effort has led to the emergence of the new business model. The ecosystem we built in is designed to meet the evolving needs of the end user. And now we are working to extend this ecosystem into a vehicle area. As Valentin mentioned earlier, the car vehicle is no longer just a device for driving and consuming a bit of media. It is becoming a living space, one that demands experience design based on the wide range of the contextual factors, such as passenger situation, time of day, mood, lighting, sound, and in-cabin settings. This means all of the context and data around the vehicle can be mingled with diverse applications. These elements must be considered to deliver meaningful and emotional resonance in vehicle experiences. Another important consideration is that the vehicle must be designed as a hybrid experience, combining the characteristics of the both personal and shared devices, such as smartphones are personal device. They are designed for one-on-one interactions, and users actively engage with the device in limb posture, navigating, controlling, and communicating directly. On the other hand, TVs are limbic devices. They support passive media consumption with minimal interaction, often in a relaxed shared environment in home. And in case of the vehicle, the environment of vehicle is placed between these two paradigms. It must accommodate both the limpod and limpod engagement of the driver, interacting actively with the vehicle, and the limbic experience of the passengers seeking comfort and entertainment in vehicle areas. Designing for this duality is essential to create a meaningful in-cabin experience between personal and shared devices. And the last chapter is about new values through software. The customer value we created through this process ultimately translate into revenue for OEMs and us. In the final agenda, I will share how we can continue to drive this transformation moving forward. We believe that when you look at the evolution of the video and screens inside vehicles, the journey closely mirrors that of the kinds of the TV industry. In the first stage is analog era. TVs were essentially dumb devices at that area, and displaying contents via RF channels or external video players. Similarly, vehicle in this era functioned as a passive media devices, playing contents through FM, AM radio, or Bluetooth connections. The next area is a projection era. TV became, in this era, TV became display terminals for external smart devices like set-top box and streaming sticks. Vehicles followed the similar path in this era with its infotainment systems, relying on smartphone projection technology such as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. In both cases, the device themselves lacked the intelligence and depended heavily on external smart platforms to deliver the experience to end users. Nowadays, we believe that we are entering the convergence era. TVs have evolved into intelligent platforms that deliver native experiences through built-in services for now. And these platforms collect data, personalize the user experience, and generate new value for end users, and leading to the rise of the advertising based on the business model and ecosystem expansion. Vehicles are now following the same way. We believe that we are seeing the shift toward native in-car experiences, where services are embedded directly into the vehicle's infotainment and platform, and OEMs are working to increase the engagement and dwell time by offering context-aware, personalized experiences and making the beginning of the new era in software and media industry. As we enter the convergence era, LG has been steadily building a long-term platform partnership with over decades of the experiences. We have developed a deep understanding of the needs and challenges faced by the service providers. What these providers seek is ability to deliver unified experiences. So regardless of the form factor, whether at home, in the car, or at the office, their goal is to offer seamless integrated services across all spaces LG is fully committed to enabling this vision. So we are leveraging our TV's platform power and other appliance experiences and to leverage this type of the ability to make that convergence services in auto industry. And then that said that but Edge can help the OEM, but in-vehicle experience and ecosystem cannot be built by Edge alone. Edge brings over 20 years of the expertise in media ecosystem design, strong partnership with the global content and technology providers, and we have a proven monetization capability and deep integration know-how as a trusted tier one in the automotive space. These strengths enables LG to deliver rich and native in-car experience that support OEM's business and success. But OEM need to collaborate with LG to customize the experience, aligning with their brand identity, design language, and UX vision. Together, we could design collaborative design the in-vehicle integration and data touchpoint that shape the final user experiences. As a result, the interaction with the end user belongs to the OEM, not us. OEMs are responsible for delivering well-designed services that reflect their brand and values. Through this collaboration, LG and OEM can unlock the new value and shape the convergence era of the in-vehicle experiences. So we are on the stage. We are in the middle ground between our contents and service providers and OEM, and we have a strong partnership with our content partners and solution providers, and we can make that bridge into the OEM's vehicle, and we can create in-car experience for that. So LG is fully committed to enabling this vision. We focus on helping partners build their services across diverse spaces in vehicle, not limited by the different form factor. So in convergence era, the ability to understand the service experiences and design them contextually for each space is a true differentiator from LG. So LG is a good partner with the expertise to do just to create a new vision. So here is the end of my session, and we can gather some questions from attendees, and we can respond to that questions with Valentin.
All right, guys, thank you very much for a great presentation. Now, as you have just said, Honggeun, we do have time for a brief Q&A. One last time to the audience, if you would like to ask a question, please use the Q&A box at the top of the screen. The sooner that you get your questions in, the better a chance that we will have time to ask them. Now, I have a question here. Someone wants to better understand the automaker customer needs. Can you tell us more about high-level processes, methods, or approaches?
So I think it's a great question, because I think traditionally in our industry, a tier one's job is to focus on the OEM needs, on the automaker needs. And I think in the SDV era, the job of a partner, of a software partner like LG, is to understand both the automaker needs, and I think this is very important for us to still understand that, but also to understand the end user. And I think it's pretty what define how a company can be successful nowadays. You need to understand how your solution can fit the existing automaker ecosystem, industry, and so on. But at the end of the day, your software needs also to be a great software for the end user. If you as a user, when you drive, you don't enjoy using the software, you find it uncomfortable, you're just going to have a bad image of the car. and so the software you are selling is not going to be used. And so for us in LG, it goes through our customer experience center. We call it CX Center. And so our CX Center is actually conducting a lot of user research, studies, ranging from survey, user experience. We have different, setup as well in Korea in different office to actually check how people engage with our software. And we benefit a lot because, as Honggeun shared, some of the software, some of the solution we are developing are being developed for our other products in LG. For instance, TV, as we explained in the presentation, which means all the research we do from the usage of TV, we are checking and we use it and see how it applies for the automotive. So I think that gave us a great strength to understand the needs of the final user, of the customer, and to bring our specific knowledge and viewpoint on this, and how we can make great software that can be used for those customers. So that's how we approach it in LG. I think that was a great question.
Now, someone else is asking what the role of tier ones is going to look like in an SDV-driven future.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure thing. It was written in kind of like broken English, so I've paraphrased it a little bit. It now reads, what will the role of tier one suppliers look like if we're moving towards software-defined vehicles? I guess would be another way of asking that question.
Yeah, I think really that was the conclusion slide of our presentation. I think, we should not be anymore a tier one in the sense for the software. It's really about a partnership. The traditional way of having OEM having complex requirements, giving detailed execution to the tier one, it worked. I think it's been a great way to operate in this industry. But when we look at the piece of software we are bringing very complex products, which are extremely difficult to fully define, I think. If you look at how software is built nowadays, in the IT space, in the consumer electronic space, it's not about having a long list of requirements, but more about iteration and a more agile way. An agile way means you have to have confidence between us, between a partner and the OEM. We need to be able to work together on the problem. And so we see really ourselves, I think what we have achieved on the TV space to bring so many partners, to bring all that ecosystem, it's the right way to work. It's about partnership, it's about collaboration, it's about being able to look at the problem together, iterate over those problems, and try to achieve a kind of common goal. And I think that's what very important when you engage and collaborate on a program. I think it's very important that between a company like LG and an automaker and our partner, we have a clear vision, a clear goal, and try to work together to achieve this, rather than being in a complex contractual process and so on, which is really the mindset of Agile way, actually. When you look at the Agile Manifesto, I think it's really about having this approach that, well, it's discussion over contract in a sense. And I think that's what the automotive industry needs to evolve towards too. That goal of really having that partnership approach, having more and more, those conference, those developer events, and having all that ecosystem, building that ecosystem to make it happen. And I think LG is in a great position to be a catalyst for such ecosystem, and to show our partnership experience and to bring that to the service of the OEM.
Now, is there anything that you would like to add before we wrap up, guys?
I'd like to add one more responses in last question. I believe that tier one's role in SDV era is to solve that the hard problem that OEM cannot solve by itself. For example, LG as a tier one, we can bring that Netflix and Disney Plus, such as a big content platform media application into OEM's vehicle by leveraging its TV industry power and ecosystem and experiences. That kind of job that OEM cannot resolve that by itself, but it can have that kinds of the hard work with its expertise and experiences in other industry. So that's in my point of view, that's the key role of the tier one in this software defined vehicle areas.
Now, we do actually have one more question, which has rolled in. Someone is asking, does LG Baseware include its own middleware and communication framework, or does it rely on existing standards like AutoSAR Adaptive or DDS?
So Baseware is a very a large collection of software. So inside Baseware, we do have an adaptive AutoSAR implementation. It's very relying on SOA approach, and we are contributing. So some part of Baseware, for instance, we are contributor to a project in SDV Eclipse that is called Puli, which is a mixed critical orchestrator. So it really ranges from a lot of different components. So for instance, inside Baseware, you have an adaptive AutoSAR. We contribute some of the Baseware components like mixed critical orchestrator to SDV Eclipse. We are trying to follow SDV Eclipse and as well, approach and overall architecture. We have an Android stack inside Baseware. We have an OTA solution. We have also, for instance, a framework like a vision framework, which enable to manage concurrent camera streams and so on. So we work with various components that we build and it works all together, but each component is designed to be a standalone component at the end. And I think these days, without revealing too much, information, we are looking very closely at S-Core and how we can contribute and work around S-Core for this. So for us, the vision is to probably, see how Baseware can go and go towards S-Core and how we can contribute to S-Core or use that as an S-Core distribution. So that's the mindset we are following for Baseware today.
Now, there is one more question. Someone is asking, is the TV entertainment in vehicle expected even further for autonomous driving? And if so, are tier ones positioning in a different way for these specific vehicles?
I think that's a great question for you, Honggeun.
So the media in vehicle, the importance of the media in vehicle will grow up gradually due to the autonomous driving and the other the environment in cabin experiences. So our mission is to bring that kinds of the living space experience into a vehicle. And as we know, the autonomous driving era is coming of that era is delayed for now, but eventually that kinds of the era will become, and that's in that situation we can imagine that what kinds of the media and contents will be consumed in a vehicle. We should imagine that, and we should be make a readiness to make that era preparation for that era. So that is my responses to the questions.
All right, guys. Well, with that, I would like to bring this webinar to a close. I'd like to thank Valentin and Honggeun one last time for sharing a great presentation with us today. And, of course, to LG for its role in making today's event possible. Now, one last thing. We will be making an on-demand version of this webinar available very soon. But for now, thank you for tuning in from wherever you are in the world. And goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.